Sit back and throw one back with your pinky in the air and a middle finger to the world, and join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, as we look back on this day in pro wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get our wrestling history on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is April 20th, and we are going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1964, look and see if he's really Italian, Big Guido. Finish singing happy birthday to one member of ECW's Full-Blooded Italians and start singing it to another as 1977, Johnny the Bull Stromboli. And last but not least, 1984, Garrett Bischoff. Of course, on the flip side of that coin, your pro wrestling deaths for April 20th. 1999, Ravishing Rick Rude. 2016, China. Alright, enough of the sad stuff. It's time to get to the meat and potatoes. That's right, these are your pro wrestling history highlights for April 20th. Jumping in the Wayback Machine and going way back to 1895. Martin Farmer Burns defeats Evan Strangler Lewis for the American Heavyweight title in Chicago, Illinois. Fast forwarding to 1933, Earl McCreary defeats Jack Taylor in Calgary, Alberta, Canada to win the Canadian Heavyweight title. Skipping ahead 3 years to 1936, Albin Britt defeats Ted Christie in a tournament final in Hollywood, California to become the first National Wrestling Association World Junior Heavyweight Champion. Leaping 9 years to 1945, Gory Guerrero defeats Jack O'Brien to win the Mexican National Welterweight title in Mexico City, Mexico, ending O'Brien's second reign. Grooving into the 60s, 1960, the Great Bolo and Joe McCarthy defeat Bobby and Don Fields for both the Gulf Coast and Mid-American NWA Southern Tag Team titles in Mobile, Alabama. Grabbing our finest polyester suits and going to the 70s. 1970, Argentina Apollo and Jose Lothario defeat Dale Lewis and the Missouri Mauler for the NWA Florida Tag Team titles in Orlando, Florida. 1971, Jack Briscoe wins his second NWA Florida television title in Tampa, Florida, defeating Terry Funk. Grabbing our boomboxes and going to the 80s. 1980, Turo Tanaka defeats Kevin Von Erich for the NWA American Heavyweight title in Dallas, Texas, ending Von Erich's second reign and beginning Tanaka's third. 1985 sees Rick Davis defeat Sonny Myers to win the Universal Wrestling Alliance Canadian Junior Heavyweight title. 1986, the AWA held Wrestle Rock 86 at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with 22,000 fans in attendance. In the main event, Vern Gagne defeated Adnan Al-Kassi in a steel cage match. 1987, two titles change hands at a Continental Wrestling Association event in Memphis, Tennessee. Chick Donovan defeats Soul Train Jones, aka Virgil, for the CWA International Heavyweight title. In the main event of that night, Jerry Lawler defeated Austin Idol in a chain match in 36 seconds to win the AWA Southern Heavyweight title, ending Idol's second reign and beginning Lawler's 39th of 5,675. The Mercenaries were also awarded Jimmy Snuka and JT Southern's CWA International Tag Team titles after Snuka left the territory. 1988, one of the best tag teams of all time, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, defeat Lex Luger and Barry Windham for the NWA World Tag Team titles in Jacksonville, Florida. After Windham turns on Luger, leaving him for dead, Windham would immediately join the Four Horsemen, creating the most remembered version of that group. Grabbing our flannels and going to the decade of grunge, 1992, the Dirty White Girl defeats Lauren Davenport to win the USWA Women's title in Memphis, Tennessee. 1996, Akira Towa defeats Steve Williams to win the annual All Japan Pro Wrestling Champions Carnival Tournament. 1996, ECW held the third annual Hostile City Showdown event at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In the main event, ECW World Heavyweight Champion Raven defeated Shane Douglas to retain his title. Staying in 1996, Jeff Jarrett defeats Jerry Lawler to win the USWA Unified Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee, ending Lawler's 22nd reign. And last but not least, 1997, the WWF held the 14th annual In Your House pay-per-view, subtitled Revenge of the Taker. In the main event, WWF Champion The Undertaker pinned Mankind with Paul Bearer after a tombstone piledriver to retain the title. After the match, Undertaker shot a fireball in Paul Bearer's face. Those were your pro wrestling history highlights for April 20th. I'm the Eclectic Gentleman, Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.